Folks, today I reckon is the day on which we will say goodbye to the world that you see in front of you. It is 1908 and I'm probably gonna play until like 1920 today. So much has happened and so much is yet to happen here in our Italy playthrough in 1.5. This for me has been an absolutely incredible series because we underwent so many trials and tribulations, and I'm so happy that all of you enjoyed it as much as well. I just want to say that if you did enjoy this type of playthrough, which is a bit more long-winded and makes it so that I put a lot of hours into just playing the game, hey, consider becoming a channel member because it definitely directly supports further doing playthroughs like this one. But hey, listen, all of that aside, where does this leave us? It's 1908, we have just become a directorial republic under none other than Giulio Bonaccorsi, who is the leader of the petite bourgeoisie and has brought, well, a bit of a new angle to politics and the republic here in Italy. We have become a very different state, and I reckon that there may be more tumultuous times coming ahead, or that we might be looking at, just sort of a cementing of power here in the republic. We've taken control of most of the Balkans. We are going to, that is my plan at the very least, take control right here of Egypt and hopefully Tripolitania as well, after we already took control of Syria itself. Now we do of course still have an incredibly troubled world. We have become a mad modern autocracy. At the same time we have Germany, which seemed as though they may be leaving communism behind, but I mean, you can see it right here. I reckon we are going to be seeing another counter revolution coming for Germany, making it so that Germany and France, no matter what we do, will be a trouble spot of communism in this timeline. On the other hand, we have Japan, which is in a very similar position, and I think this is a lesson that the Italians are also drawing from our expedition, where we supported, of course, getting rid of the Council Republic. We aided them because we are now the hegemony in this region, if you will. We have taken control of Dainam, we have taken control of Siak, and so on, and we intervened right here in Japan. And yet, yeah, I think things are going to be dire. So the lesson is we can't really do nation building. It doesn't work. Maybe being isolationist and just protecting yourself behind high walls against communism is the way to go from the perspective of Italy. At the same time, we have China now, more united than in a long time. They splintered, I want to say, in the 70s. Is that when they splintered? I think sometime around that point. And Manchuria and the Heavenly Kingdom are the strongest two factions, but in general, it has all quite consolidated. But of course, as I said, the main attraction that is now coming is basically saying we must cement our position, and a part of that is of course Savoy and Corsica. Both of these should be ours, and both of these shall be ours whenever we challenge the French Commune. We're definitely going to do this in this video. That is the main draw. Securing our position here in Europe, in Southern Europe and the Mediterranean in particular, is insanely important. And if we can't stop communism outright, we might as well try to splinter them so that they cannot cooperate. And somebody pointed out something really funny. Luxembourg was the very first vanguard state that ever existed, and from it sprung two other vanguard states, of course Germany and the French Commune. And now look at them. Cardinal Gérard Dudechem has become the leader of a Catholic theocracy. They actually took over. Communism is gone, and they became a theocracy. It's incredible. This honestly is a really fun world. If I played any Hoi 4 at this point in my life anymore, then honestly, this would probably be worth translating into a Hoi 4 game. Right, and of course, this is going on right here at the start of this particular episode of this last video. The Russians have declared a war against the French Commune. They're going for the Communard Solomon Islands, so this is just a colonial conflict, but they are liberating Brittany, which is a massive move, because it is of course aiming at splintering and destroying the Commune. Now listen, I support this. I don't support regime change in the Grand Duchy of Finland, which is actually very smart, because it would make it so that the personal union with Russia breaks, and Finland would now be an independent Council Republic. But I can't support either side anyway. The Russians don't like me, I don't like the Russians. We have had so many historical conflicts against them right here over the Ottoman Empire, and well, the Commune is the Commune. I mean, come on. Yeah, and now we actually had Bulgaria join us as well in our market. You can see we are now the dominating force right here. The only things really standing in our way are Egypt, Tripolitania, and then of course the Ionian Islands and Malta. I would really like to have all of those, but honestly, going to war with Britain, as much as we are not ideologically similar, unless, let me just check here, nope, they're just protectionists. We are not ideologically similar, but we are more similar than we are with, of course, everybody else here in the Mediterranean Sea. So the way I see this is, as long as they don't threaten me, I'm not gonna threaten them. I would love having Gibraltar, I would love having Malta, but I'm gonna let these dogs sleep if that means that I can then move in against France on my own and undisturbed. And yeah, this is going to be an interesting world way past the date that we leave it, because if you look at this right here, we defended Sweden once against communism, but now we are fairly busy. We of course are now planning our own machinations, and our armies can't be everywhere in the world. We just can't be that thinly stretched when we have France on our border, as undisturbed and powerful as it is. And it does now seem as though communist Sweden under Chairman Christopher Ugla, funny name by the way, is actually going to take over. And that, of course, I mean, laissez-faire and Chaos Republic, normally they have these laws and they will then reform into much more, severe communist laws when it comes to this, but this definitely creates an axis right here of communism, all the way from Western Europe into Northern Europe. It's quite significant. And actually, let me take a look at this. I know Denmark also had a rebellion, but it seems that they didn't lose. Yeah, they have a military junta now. That makes a lot of sense. And you know what? I think we're going to jump in against Tripolitania right here. We can see that Egypt and Tripolitania are both being protected by Austria. And if we clear out Austria right away against a smaller enemy, just against Tripolitania, we should then have an easier way going in against Egypt as well. Let me check this. People really like Egypt. Tripolitania, they are much more neutral on, making it so, yeah, I can probably pick off Austria if I just go in against Tripolitania first. It will cost me quite a bit of infamy, but I think we can stomach this. The bigger infamy wave, no doubt about it. Not that infamy matters anymore. We want to become a hegemon in this world. We can just go ahead right here. Yeah, that's 45 infamy that we will have to cash in for Egypt. Let's take control of Tripolitania and let's teach the Austrians a lesson. Now let me take a look at this. What can we do here? They are fearful, which is very, very nice. I could liberate a country, but it's Transylvania. I mean, honestly, I just don't care for this. I don't know what is broken with liberate countries. Something is clearly not working, but again, this is the open beta. I would really like to liberate Croatia, but obviously that is just currently not viable. What I can probably do instead, I could ask for war reparations. What kind of units do we have? Trench infantry? Ugh, so pretty equal to us here. You know, I think what I will do here, since I can't actually liberate anybody, I think I'm just gonna say, Austria, pay me war reparations. Are you kidding me? You're gonna owe me, and you're gonna owe me big. I could, of course, also say, Germany, I want you to, help me, for example, and this is viable because they have claims on the Austrians, but I'm gonna be honest with you, again, I can't actually trust this Germany, so I'm not doing anything that gives them land. I'm sorry, but that's just not happening. And lo and behold, this shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. Everybody loves the Italian government, and they are voting just like that. Oh my god, yeah, right, this party affiliation is obviously huge because they are the major party right there, but you can see this is a clear victory. Oh, and while we are busy over in Austria and Tripolitania, I like this. If they pledge to become my vassal, if they pledge to support me, honestly, we would intervene in here. We have an immediate rapid response force, and this fits the bill perfectly. We are there to oversee trade, to oversee that everybody respects us, and if they just let me have it, I mean, that would be perfect. Let's see what they can give us, but I don't mind, either the old regime or a capitalist revolt. It's both fine by me, as long as they swear fealty. And yeah, at this point, I really gotta say, Austria is no longer the challenge. I remember the days when we were clamoring to succeed against them, when we were struggling so much to catch up. But look at their GDP, look at it, it is so damn pitiful. This, of course, happens when you are incapable of modernizing. Now, they do have trench infantry and all that, but ultimately, yep, we are simply better. What we have here as an army is exemplary. I am researching now, and this is very important, I think, for our eventual wars against the French. I am researching all of this because we need to, of course, take it a step further if we genuinely want to have a fairly quick war rather than just a stalemate. In the next 10 years, it's going to go down. And oh my god, the Russians actually did it. I will admit that I was always aware that France is struggling like crazy. I mean, they had their civil war, they had another civil war. Germany is excelling, they are doing great, in particular for a country that, of course, is isolated economically speaking. But now it turns out they actually lost the war for Brittany as well. Now, they are communist, it is what it is, but they are separated. And that is the most important aspect from all of this. Yeah, I think our plan to go in here and, free Occitan is becoming more lively by the minute. Alright, and I think we are now in a splendid position to jump in and finish off Egypt. Or rather, to add Egypt to our sphere and do what we should have done ages ago, and that is secure the entirety of the Eastern Mediterranean. The quicker we do it, the better it is. And I think making them a protectorate here, I mean, listen, it's a lot of infamy, but I shall eat it, okay? It's fine. Who's going to challenge me at this point? As long as we don't make it above 100, I think we are fine. We don't really have any allies now anymore, because we stand alone in the world. We got communists, we got backwards people, and then we got Britain, which of course would like me to be an open economy, which I will never be. And that leaves us with just ourselves. Being secure here is more important than having friends. And I'll be honest with you, that was a rather quick and easy war. I also banned slavery while we were there just to weaken them, because the more we now destabilize our Egyptian puppet, obviously the easier will it be to actually fully annex them. Well, that's the goal anyway. The Veiled Protectorate. Italy has secured dominion over Egypt. This state of affairs is quickly becoming known as the Veiled Protectorate, for by a technicality, Egypt remains legally subject to the Ottoman Sultan, who helplessly observes this situation. Assure the new Egyptian Khedive of our support. Yeah, I think that's fine. So that means, I assume, that we now have a different... There he is. Khedive Skender El Alawi. I can't push my government on them, obviously, as, you know, a sort of colonial government here. I would like to see some more movement towards our ideology, but hey, take this in. The Italian market has spread, and the Italian market is doubtlessly in control. The last major thing that I really have on my mind is 1v1ing the French Commune. And it seems as though now in 1913 the Great Game actually comes to a conclusion. Look at that, Russia is invading Afghanistan. Afghanistan is getting support from Persia. I wonder whether we're going to see some... Oh my god, everybody, the entire region is withstanding Russia right now. That is actually something that I see very rarely. In Victoria Tweaks mod, Russia most of the time just steamrolls everything here. But right now, Kokand got this land via a revolution, I remember this, a long time ago actually. And now, all of a sudden, I mean, they're going for Afghanistan. They're trying to conquer Khiva as well. Unless Britain jumps in here, I'm not going to jump in, just to be honest with you. Unless they jump in here, I reckon that the Great Game will be won by Russia, technically speaking. If they can't get a port, I guess, in the Mediterranean, they're going to take one here in the Indian Ocean. And now this is juicy. There is a religious revolt in Brittany. Listen, if this late in the game you release microstates, unless they are a part of a market, they will collapse. And it makes perfect sense. That is exactly what we wanted to see here. I now sided with Brittany, with this Breton religious revolt. There it is. They're a monarchy, which is completely fine. Cooperative ownership, I don't love that, but I love it more than the communists right here. What we're going to do is, we're going to intervene here, we're going to secure them, and we're going to make sure that they owe us an obligation so that we can call them in once we go to war against France, giving us an active front right here. Man, Russia is on a roll right here. They are very clearly now cleaning up in their sphere of influence. They have destroyed Khiva, they're destroying Persia, they're destroying Afghanistan, and now they're going in against Manchuria. And they're going in to release Xibei. No, sorry, actually Manchuria is going in to release Xibei, probably hoping to get some support, maybe even my support. I don't like Russia, but honestly, releasing Shaanxi, there's nothing wrong with this, at least not fundamentally. What could I get out of this? I can't really ask for too much, just because, well, the infamy would be absolutely horrendous. You know, I would really like it if Manchuria gave me a treaty port. Sadly, there is no option there. They can just transfer a state in full. And I'm just not really interested in any of these states right here. They're all inland. I mean, are you kidding me? So, honestly, I'm gonna stay out of this. If St. Petersburg wants to assert its zone of influence in northern China, then, I mean, so be it. Oh, and here we now have a very, very interesting petition coming in from the armed forces. And I'll be honest with you, I think there's no... Oh, wait a minute, the industrialists retired? Market liberals, I mean, come on. All right, we have a petition to pass militarized police force, and how could I not? Obviously, that is the future. Honestly, that was incredibly easy. We passed it literally without any events because it was just that unanimous. I'm gonna be honest with you, and I know I said this previously already, I am so excited for what this world might look like. It's a hellscape, don't get me wrong here, but there is still some kind of balance to be had. Great Britain still dominates the seas. Yes, we're doing well, and by the way, I built up a beautiful fleet right here with dreadnoughts, submarines, scout cruisers, everything is in order. We can dominate the Mediterranean, and of course everything all the way here to Indochina. We can do that, we have the potential to do that, and yet Britain is very strong. Germany will also remain fairly equal, actually much stronger than us, but I think also in a much less stable position. You can see that they have so many different interest groups, there's a lot going on there that we just kind of don't have to deal with. This is a really cool scenario, all things considered. What I'm also noticing, by the way, is that the United States of America are a really, really interesting country. They have right to assembly, women's suffrage, slavery ban, guaranteed liberties, they have universal suffrage and parliamentary republic. They are the beacon of freedom. I think together maybe with Britain. Other than that, Russia is, yeah, I mean, Russia is doing Russia things, okay? Russia will never modernize until we get some content for that country. But at the very least, they are conquering. They are expanding their market. Look at them go. I'm proud of them. Manchuria is pretty close to reunifying China, at least, you know, as far as all of this is concerned. They're currently trying to take on Shandong, and yeah, that seems to be a gimme. I have also now actually modernized our armies. We have squad infantry. It took me a while because we needed radios, but yeah, things are happening. And I'm also researching, of course, flamethrowers. I'm researching military aviation. We are going to teach the French a lesson. I don't think that I want to kind of resolve the situation against Germany. Maybe we could win against them, maybe we would lose against them, but that's besides the point. Having a big adversary and a disunited France at the end of this would be a beautiful, poetic outcome, I would say. And while we are now in maybe the last decade of this playthrough, I am really, really excited to point one particular thing out. I mean, we're doing well, I'm not min-maxing, that is very important to point out here, but consider the following. We have Great Britain, as always, in a really good position. Yes, they are unemployed, but in general, they are incredibly wealthy. They have a much, much smaller population than what, of course, Germany has right here. And I find that very fascinating. The GDP isn't that... actually, now the difference is quite significant, but look at this. Germany, thanks to being in a position where they are a council republic, where it is easier for them to pay their workers, they got wage subsidies and all that, has a much, much higher standard of living compared to Britain with just poor laws, laissez-faire, and so on and so forth. I really like this. Way back when, you know, you would just get to full employment and all of a sudden everybody would spiral into infinite wealth. And wait a minute. Oh. So that went through, huh? But way back when that was the case, we were looking at a situation where basically, well, Germany right now and Britain would both be at 20 SOL, something like that anyway. But now, being communist, or at least leaning communist, as you can see, gives you an edge when it comes to the standard of living, but makes it harder because, yeah, I don't know. Germany's in a bit of a difficult place. But either way, what an interesting scenario right here. The wealthiest people in Europe live in Germany and yet are surrounded by nothing but enemies. Hello? Communal diplomatic play against me. So we currently have a rebellion going on here in South Tyrol, yet again. They're very unhappy over there, and they want me to return Inner Morocco, huh? First of all, I don't think so, pal. Second of all, you just made the worst mistake of your entire life. I was stalling. I was waiting until I could go to war, until I could finish it off, but, well, that is over now. I will free Occitania. I will not free Corsica, I will instead return Savoy, and I will be conquering Corsica. There it is. We're going to jump straight into this, and we're going to completely dismantle the French Commune. As I said previously, my, initial sort of feeling here was that we would go, oh, liberate Algeria. I gotta. That is gorgeous. Yeah, okay. You know what? Liberia? No, I don't care about this. Let's leave it with this. We are looking at the complete dismemberment of the French Commune, because that is all we can do. We can't make the people of France be non-communists, but we can make it so that if they wanted to unify, they would have to go through us. Dismantling them is the way to go here. This is the final war, after which the neighborhood and the entire Mediterranean Ocean will be ours. And funnily enough, by the way, at the same time, Germany is declaring a war against Japan to turn them into a protectorate. Imperialism in this world has gone rogue. It is absolutely insane what kind of levels it has now taken here. And look at that. I can sway Britain to join me here if I give them this little bit right there. And honestly, I'm inclined to do it. I think it would make the borders nicer. I wish the borders here weren't exactly the way they are, but it is what it is. I will give you Italian Ubangi Shari, and we can go from there. And oh my god, Japan actually just backed down. This is actually unbelievable. And honestly, I'm looking at this, I'm pretty sure this is going to be pretty okay for Japan, because being in the market of a different major power normally means that you will start excelling. I'll keep an eye on this. And folks, with this, we are in the final showdown. Together with the British, who are not our friends, but who are allies of convenience, we are being challenged by France. And my god, that was a massive mistake by the French. They want return Inner Morocco. This is a small dispute. They thought surely we could simply establish our right here. They were, of course, counting, I guess, on Germany coming in, but that never happened. Instead, we're going to demand to liberate Occitania, to return Savoy, to conquer Corsica, and to liberate Algeria. We have then, on the other hand, given this piece of land to Britain. Now let's take a look at the front lines and the ones that matter. This one, I will be honest with you, I completely abandoned. I don't think this front line matters even one bit. This one right here, I don't care either. Now these are important, and you can see that there is literally nobody pushing back against us. Algeria will fall right away, and the reason that nobody is there is very, very self-evident. The French are completely screwed at home. We need to reach their capital, so this will take some time. But I'm going to be honest with you, we are looking at something where I basically also, just for the record, neglected Corsica right here. But we are looking at a frontier that absolutely is going to see them demolished. I wish we had planes at this point. We're still researching this, but we do have flamethrowers and we do have squad infantry. And as you can see now, the trade unions, of course, have joined our company as well in the party. This will also mean, once we get this actually, so by that I mean Savoy, we will be looking at this, which will then lock in ethno-nationalists in the trade unions, making it so that communism will probably never actually reach us. But let's take a look at the actual battles. Oh my god. Let's take a look at endgame statistics in battles, okay? Because obviously this is a bit different from where we were before 1.5 came along. Unbelievable stats, okay? We're fighting, obviously not with our infantry here, at least not if we can help it, because siege artillery is much more efficient. We got machine gunners, flamethrowers, siege artillery, armed forces, patriotic fervor, which is huge, no organization, that sucks, luxurious supplies, commander trait bigoted, advanced front, elite, so these are elite experienced troops, and combine of metalworks, which is a company, giving us a massive, massive level of offense. They have trench infantry, hand-cranked machine guns, defense front, veteran, fieldworks, defense in depth, and concrete fortifications. Concrete fortifications, you can see here, is massive, absolutely insane. And yet, it does not hold a candle. Look at these death rates. It's disgusting. I'll be honest with you. We have a second battle going right here. Let's zoom in on this a little bit. We can see their trenches right there. We can see them defending. I don't think I can see a little guy here. We don't have a little guy. Is there just, maybe it is just that we don't have any little guys. Are you my little guy? Is this squad infantry? I wonder what squad infantry actually looks like. I do know that there is an image also for the folks that, the light and heavy tanks. There are different models for those. But I don't see a squad infantry model here. But yeah, I gotta be honest with you, it seems as though we're gonna win this. And just for the record, if it came to a fight on the ocean, I think we would win as well. You know what? Honestly, just for good measure, I should probably do a bit of an invasion. Then again, is there anywhere where I can challenge their navy? I don't really think there is, right? What kind of boats does Britain have? Just torpedo boats? Yeah, we have the navy that should be feared on all oceans. Once we're done with this war, the entire Mediterranean Ocean is ours. And I just exiled another radical from the intelligentsia, and all of a sudden, look at them go. I will widen this government. I have no fear. Sadly, he won't actually be a part of this. Will he join this after this election? I'm not sure. I'm going to leave it as it is right now. If they join the election, then hey, welcome to the party. Other than that, the intelligentsia will join next election, and then we will have a very broad front. Oh, and it looks as though the commune did show up in the end, and yeah, making this quite a bit more difficult, I would say. I'm just going to keep defending here. We're going to clean house, of course, at home. And yeah, if we just set this to defense, we will have a better time, especially with actual squad infantry. I'm pretty sure we're holding here, right? This is just insane. The difference that we now have, thanks to our supply options and, of course, to our superior unit type, absolutely breathtaking. If you will, and I personally would say this is fair to say, the First World War here is the dismemberment of France. Never again shall there be a French nation. Never again shall France rise to threaten anybody. Communism may have started in Luxembourg, but then the French Commune fell, and after the Commune, Germany, Japan, Sweden, so many countries. Even Spain threatened several times by a communist rebellion. But that spook will now be over. We are gonna kick them out, and I think we're going to have a really good setup here when it comes to a country wanting to take revenge, which is, of course, kind of the story of World War II, but, you didn't get this from me. And would you look at that, we now have a wartime government. We have a modernizer in the armed forces. That doesn't really do all that much for us, but it's interesting to see nonetheless. Now, somebody pointed out, and I think rightfully, we might want to go towards presidential republic, but there's currently not really a taste for it. We could try to go for graduated taxation, but honestly, it doesn't really matter. What might be a good choice? The armed forces are against mass conscription. That is interesting. Now, workers' rights we are not really opposed to, especially thanks to the trade unions actually joining us now. That is very nice of them. And legal guardianship here, let me just take a look at this. Now that we have such a big war, we could do the thing that was done historically. Because of this big war, we need more workforce. I think I'm going to shift towards women in the workplace rather than women's suffrage right away. But then again, I do love the dependent enfranchisement just in general. You know what? I'm going to go towards women's suffrage. I think they are serving the nation just as well as the men are. And honestly, I just want to see what it means when we reshuffle our power here in Italy. It's just brutal. What do you want me to say? They are down to about half of the manpower. And we are just, what, half a year into this war? Yeah, France is not gonna exist any longer. I'm honestly still not sure what Germany is. You know what I think it might be? Because they keep having to pass socialist reforms. I think the way I would describe Germany in this scenario is that they're currently under a military junta led by the industrialists, but they keep having to make concessions because they know that with the setup and with how things are, chances are that they're just gonna get overthrown unless they do it. And I reckon that that is exactly what is going on here. They are a single-party state and yet only a 50%. I mean, think about it. Again, we have 100% legitimacy and are, what, at like 60-70% of the political power altogether. Germany is barely holding on. They have 12,000 left in their army. 12,000 men. That's unbelievable. That's actually insane. Yeah, the one thing, and this has to be said, it's kind of unfair, but it's a nice ending just to see how it goes. The one thing I will point out is that the power of what you're seeing right here is the power of mobilization options and of armies that have high elite tier units. I mean, okay, these aren't elites, they suffered quite a bit yet, but you can see, there they go. Everything on the offense is experienced. This artillery knows exactly what is going on. And we are tearing the French apart. The mobilization options and the experience are absolutely insane. And we are paying for it. Look at this. I love how much we are paying for this. Let's actually take a look at this in our budget right here. Out of all the costs, oh my god, one third out of all the national expenses are just goods for military buildings. I think that is pretty appropriate. That is a costly war. We're definitely going into the exact right direction when it comes to warfare here. God, I'm so happy to say this about this game at this point. And while that is going on, a dream has come true. Look at the Austrians. We're going to defeat the French easily. And now the Austrians are facing a Croatian rebellion. And for the first time in my existence, it's so hard to get, it seems, the Croatians agree to become our subjects. Yes, I desire for the entire Adriatic coast. Thank you. And now, the Austrians shall meet a new army that got some additional mobilization options right here that we previously just didn't have any access to. Look at that. Yeah. Let's see how efficient you can be under these circumstances, huh? And in the meantime, Paris is falling. It's so over for the French Commune. Alright, and there we have women's suffrage. I'm going to be honest with you, I interpret this, in a different way. This isn't giving women's rights, let's be real here. We're looking at a situation where we're basically just mimicking democracy. Our state, our country is not a democracy. There's no way around it. There's no rights, there's no liberties, there's nothing like this. We are basically just in a situation where we mimic the glory of a republic, and that is exactly what we're seeing here as well. And let me take a look at this, by the way. This takes ages. We got one guy who we could invite. That's the guy that I ousted. I don't think you're coming back, pal. I think you're gonna stay where you are. Do we want to change anything else here? We could obviously go towards more workers' rights. I like workers' protections. But I like the power in the hands of the petite bourgeoisie. So you know what? I'm not gonna do that. Instead, mass conscription still not liked. I think we're good for the time being. Do you guys remember? Do you folks remember that Romania campaign that I did? Yeah, I remember that war where I was Romania and attacked Austria under pretty similar circumstances. We are like a month, maybe a couple of weeks into this war. Look at the difference. Disgusting. Actually disgusting. I mean, my god. And so, folks, look at this death toll. It's over. France is a nation of the past. No longer playing a role in modern day politics, no longer being relevant for anybody. And I think rightfully so. Occitania has been freed. They are a council republic, it is true, but obviously they are separated. And that is all that we genuinely cared about. Everything else is not that important. They have been completely neutered. By the way, I also want to point out, I now have Siam in our market. We have colonized Indochina entirely. Oh, and because we took Corsica and Savoy, our nation, our culture is completed. National myths. A union among our people is not only possible, but a reality. All the citizens of Italy are now united under the same banner, the same flag. The ancient legends of the past will soon find their counterpart in our own new legends. Our national heroes now gaze upon us with a smiling face. Our language, our culture, everything that makes us come together. Sons and daughters of a common ancestry. We shall finally honor it. Our nation, our culture will make it so that trade unions will always select ethno-nationalists, or we can make it so that trade unions select ethno-nationalists, fascists, or traditionalist leaders. I like this one a bit more, just because we still haven't had a single fascist. Where are they? What is going on? Folks, and the very last elections of this playthrough are now running. And am I seeing that right? Did you just join this party? Why did it say that you joined this party? I hope you don't join any party. Listen, here's the deal. We're running this election and we're running it as we always do. Obviously, we're gonna be the winners. But the most remarkable thing about this is that without the actual position of, being in a position where I have votes assigned to them, the intelligentsia are insanely strong. I could see a position here where they take over, and I gotta be honest with you, the intelligentsia actually take it a bit further than even Chancellor Giulio Bonaccorsi, and he has achieved so much for Italy at the end of the day. I am talking about Secondo Falchi Pes. He is an outright fascist. Look at this dude. God, what an absolute monster. In 78 days, we will know the results, and I will do a bit of a retrospective with the world that we're in, because, my god, it's honestly a really cool, really fascinating world. Be that as it may, though, I am awaiting the election first. And there they are, the results of the election of 1922. And now I gotta check, because I'm pretty sure that I need to reform this to a certain degree. And yep, just as I thought, Secondo is our new chancellor. Wow. The transition is finished. Look at this flag, look at this man, look at this Italy. I want to take a moment because, my god, this has been a very interesting playthrough, and I think exactly where I want Victoria 3 to be in terms of what you can do with it and how much you can dive into it. Let's analyze the world for just a couple of minutes. You know that the United States of America are insanely progressive. They are a beacon in this world, and they have now, relatively late, but they have now become a beacon in terms of GDP as well. This is very significant because until then, the Americas didn't really seem all that impactful in world politics, but that has changed. They are now also asserting their dominance for the very first time right here over Mexico. At the same time, in South America, we actually have a Brazilian hegemony. Very, very interesting to see. Brazil appears to also have made it. Now, Brazil is much more conservative. Yes, slavery ban, but landed voting, monarchy, agrarianism, racial segregation, and so on. So we have a counterpole, I think, or a counterpart right here to the United States of America. At the same time, of course, in Europe, a ton of stuff is happening. The most important stuff that you weren't aware of yet, obviously, I mean, we have taken apart France. If there is a continuation, right, in Hearts of Iron 4, the way this would go is that France wants revenge. They want to reunify, while we, as Italy, will try to get more influence over Occitania, potentially even taking it over. And I think the French Commune would be backed up by Germany. Yes, Germany is indeed run by industrialists, but in the form of a council republic. I said this earlier, the industrialists are running this, but I'm pretty sure that they're basically in a position where they need the opposition and vice versa. Germany, in the meantime, has become incredibly wealthy. I mean it, like insanely wealthy. They have the potential to be the leading continental military force, and I think their first step in the future, going forward from 1922 here, would be to annex the absolutely disaster-riddled Austria. They would take over all of the German-speaking areas, and then I assume, for example, a mega-Hungary, for example, may emerge. We have such an interesting dynamic because Germany is a powerhouse, and Germany has room to expand into Austria. And after that, obviously, with them being quasi-communists, they would move on and try to break the hegemony of Italy. Russia is, on the other hand, in a position, where we may very well be seeing a revolution here as well. Because Alexander Romanov, the leader of the Tsarist gentry assembly right here, is currently being ousted via homesteading. We might be seeing a communist, maybe a fascist, a neo-reactionary movement, but something in Russia is surely brewing. In the meantime, in the Mediterranean, things are very clear. This is all Italian. Algeria, sooner rather than later, will fall, I assume, since they are a council republic. Italy would coup them, Italy would take them over, and that is that. And all of a sudden, the entire southern coastline and most of the important parts right here in the north would be indeed under our control. And we have now been more cemented than ever. This leadership, this party, under the leadership of all of these questionable individuals, will make it so that socialism and anybody that tries to break Italian hegemony will have a valiant opponent. I'm not sure whether we would be moving into this direction. Maybe we would, but I gotta also be honest with you, the Italian church hasn't really done much outside of just existing as social democrats. Not sure just how much of a threat they really are to the regime as it stands. Other than that, in Asia right here, you can see it, that Russia indeed has made its way in, but much more interestingly, I think a regional power has emerged. The Persian market right here. Really, really cool. Oh, and actually willing to cooperate with the Italians. They could be the Italian arm right here against, for example, a revolutionary Russia or something in that manner. Japan, as I already told you, is indeed now owned by Germany. Listen, this is absolutely wild. I adore this world, and I am so happy that we had this playthrough. I'm gonna put this down now. This is the first Victoria 3 campaign where I legitimately look at it and say I would love to see that continue. We're not gonna continue it, don't even get your hopes up, but this would be worth it. We would have a revanchist Ottoman Empire. We would have an Italy with trouble to keep its empire with Albania, Greece, Egypt, Tripolitania and Morocco together. Occitania and French Commune would attempt to reunify. Spain, on the other hand, is sitting here under threat, needing to find external allies, while Britain is concerned by, well, everything impacting the global economy and not even being able to actually trust the Americans. Because if they were able to trust the Americans, this would be the progressive alliance, no question asked. But they just can't do that. So all I can say is, thank you for watching, and this was incredible to do. I hope it was incredible to watch, and I'll see you later, alligator.